and it's so great to be with you. And I'm here today with the lovely Mandy Newman.
Hello, welcome. Merry Christmas, Alex.
Merry Christmas, Mandy. And we are here today to do something a little bit different because it is Book Club Week on the Grown Up Girls Report. So we are going to be very much discussing our book, which is Christmas relevant, A Christmas Carol, which we will get into shortly. But we're going to add a few different things today. So we're going to talk a little bit, we're going to do a little bit of food. And just start with a bit of a salad because that's quite nice to have with your Christmas lunch. We're going to talk books and then we're going to have a musical performance from Mandy. Mandy's got her guitar here and she's been working very hard.
Not hard enough.
No, it's going to be fabulous to do a little number for us. And then we're going to have a little glass of champagne and have a cheers because this has been
we don't want to be alone on Christmas Day.
No way. You are not alone. That's what I'm going to say to you. You're not alone. We are here with you in person, and this has been a crappy year. Let's just be honest. I can't remember a year like it.
As Charles Dickens said in A Tale of Two Cities,
right?
It has been the worst of times
and the best of times. And I agree with that. I think there have been some big silver linings.
Yes.
But I also know, particularly in Australia and New South Wales specifically, we've had a COVID flare-up, obviously, and that has changed the way a lot of people thought they were going to have Christmas.
Yes,
so there's a lot of people who are managing, they're disappointed.
Yes,
totally. Expectations haven't been met, and a lot of people are having Christmas by themselves. So see this as being your Christmas Day celebration. We are here with
something
you.
to laugh about.
Something to laugh about, particularly when it all goes wrong, because we are absolute novices at this. So let me tell you first about this little salad. So I whipped up this salad before while Mandy was tuning her guitar, and this is a great Christmas Day salad.
It's absolutely delicious.
It's
perfect.
So good because it's got pomegranate in it. God, I love pomegranate.
And yes, which are a burst of flavour.
Very Christmassy.
Very lovely colour.
Absolutely.
Yes, actually you've got all the Christmas colours in here, Alex.
You did get extra pear because she was the guest, so that doesn't look that good.
I feel very lucky.
But in the bowl it looks beautiful, and I will share a photo. So it's got some pomegranate, it's got some pear, lots of blue cheese, we all need blue cheese, walnuts,
essential,
spinach leaves, and then it was a cranberry vinaigrette, but I'll share the recipe so you'll be able to find it. And it's just come together so nicely.
Easy. And it's so easy.
So easy. It literally,
and so tasty.
So tasty. So we're just going to have, you have a little munch on that, Mandy.
Okay.
In fact, I'm going to have a little munch too. Excuse us while we have a munch.
So summery.
So summery.
So Christmassy.
I love blue cheese. God, it's good.
My stomach doesn't. But
no. But you've had a little lactose to
I did. I had lactose.
For those of you who've got a dairy issue, this is one of the biggest discoveries of my family this year. There's this thing called lactase you can buy from the chemist, and it actually, if you take one before you eat, it actually replaces the enzyme that your body doesn't have because you've got an intolerance to dairy, and you can have dairy. So it is amazing. So this is a lactase test.
It is actually. Let's see what happens to our nose.
Yes, we'll see how we go as the podcast progresses. So I will have that later. Excuse me, super sorry. It does taste very nice. It's just a little random moment. Right. Now, just whatever, my friend. This is on the IKEA box. And Mandy, what a great book.
Yeah, so pertinent.
Pertinent. What a great word pertinent it is. Did you read any Charles Dickens at school?
Well, we read A Tale of Two Cities, actually.
Did you?
I think in year 9.
Okay.
Or year 8, yes.
Okay.
Madame Defarge and her knitting stands out. And we watched the film.
Okay.
Charles Dickens.
Yeah.
Yes, I did.
Okay.
I read a little bit.
Okay.
I love him.
I love him. He's just incredible. He's just, what a gift. I did David Copperfield.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which was good. And I think I read Great Expectations at some stage in my life.
Did you? Wow. That's a tome.
But can I be honest? I don't really remember finishing it. But I remember starting it, and it was, life becomes a bit of a blur when you get to 49, don't you think?
Yes.
Like some of the details I'm a little bit sketchy.
That's everything met.
Totally. So I did give it a go at some stage. But
actually, I would just read the first chapter of Great Expectations.
Okay.
Wonderful.
It's wonderful. Okay. But the beauty of this is my version, 108 pages. It is a novella. And do you know, Mandy, initially you and I thought we'd try and find an abridged version. This is the original version.
Oh, really?
This was it.
Oh.
Absolutely.
Oh, I thought it was huge. Like
no.
Oh.
So, to be honest, I did too. But no, this is it. This is the original version.
Oh, fantastic. Well, this is a great way to start with Charles Dickens because he basically packs in everything that's in his other novels.
Yeah, all the themes are very, very Dickensy, weirdy, aren't they? Absolutely.
Yes.
So, he wrote this in 6 weeks. When he was under a bit of financial pressure. I think his wife was about to have their 5th baby. And the publisher was a bit disappointed with how his previous works had been going. So he had to bring out something big, and he did. And this has sold millions and millions of copies, which is wonderful.
It's a beautiful book to read just before Christmas.
Yeah.
to make you think
Absolutely.
what is actually Christmas all
Yeah.
about, and to reach out to other people and be compassionate.
I think that
And
is the key
kind.
message, actually. That is the key message.
Even if you don't want to be.
Even if you don't want to be.
Yes.
And
Even
let's
if
be
that's
honest.
a huge challenge.
Yeah. And sometimes families can bring out those feelings in you. Let's be honest. You know, it's
Well, I
just
think a lot of
keeping
people
it real.
have been talking about Christmas actually being probably one of the most stressful times of
Of
the year.
Absolutely.
Mm.
I would.
Suicide.
Yeah. And a lot of people feeling very lonely because of family issues. So
Yes.
we totally
And
understand
COVID.
that. And COVID has not helped at all.
No.
But the interesting thing is this is over 175 years old. It was written
Is
in
it that old?
1843.
Oh my God, I wouldn't
I know.
have said it was that old.
I know.
I know, and that's what's so, that's absolutely true, Alex, because when I was reading it, I was thinking, oh my God. I know, no big ding revelation, but it is a revelation. The themes are exactly the same then as they are now.
People do not change.
No,
we are still fundamentally the
no,
same. We are
no.
wired. We have the same needs and wants and driven by the same goals.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's
Yes.
so interesting. So, this is interesting because it's the story of, everyone's heard of Ebenezer Scrooge. If you hadn't read this book, you would have heard of Ebenezer Scrooge. He's one of those characters that has just made his way into, I don't know what you call it, literary Hollywood, I suppose.
Yes.
He is a big deal. And so, this book is all about Ebenezer Scrooge and his, I'm going to say, hero's journey. And I'm
Yes.
looking at Mandy like that because Mandy is also an English tutor, and
Yes.
that's very much a theme of the HSC syllabus, isn't
Yes.
it? And even the year 10 and 11 syllabus.
All the way.
Because
Yes.
it's really a journey of his redemption,
Yes.
personal growth. Let's throw in a couple of
Totally,
buzzwords
yes.
from 2020. You know,
Yes,
Ebenezer
yes,
Scrooge is on a big
yes.
personal growth journey,
Yes.
and it is quite his transformation to a kinder, gentler man because he wasn't very nice at the start of the
No,
book.
and that's another skill of Dickens when you really see that opening chapter about how awful Scrooge is to all the people around him and how gloomy and nasty and mean, and then which emphasises the humility and the humanity of all the other people around
Yeah,
him
it
as the
does.
story progresses.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very contrasting, isn't it?
Mm.
Very contrasting. Other thing is that Dickens actually wrote A Christmas Carol, and it's so funny. When I think of Christmas, we always think of Christmas as trees and carols and church or not, but that is an option. But that's actually quite a modern view of Christmas. And he actually wrote this book during a period when the British people were very much exploring what Christmas meant. And there's a lot of people that actually give Dickens the credit for actually being responsible for the modern day concept of Christmas. Because before Dickens, people didn't really think about Christmas as a time of, I suppose, social reunification and bringing people together. And in fact, the term Merry Christmas was first coined in this book.
Really?
Yes, and he's given the credit. He's given a lot of credit for Christmas, to be honest, as a result of this book.
Goodness.
I know.
Very amazing.
I didn't realise that. Yeah, I know.
There is, I mean, certainly there, and it's shown in all of other books. If you think of Oliver Twist and all the others.
There's so many.
Sorry. His obsession with food.
Incredible.
Yes. And all the Christmas treats.
Yes.
And singing and
Yes.
dancing and.
Absolutely.
It's true. I suppose all those elements.
Yeah.
That, actually, and given that we live in such a digital age. It was actually, I looked at this book and thought, we should try some of these games.
Oh, the games. We're going to
Play
talk about the
Christmas.
games. Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's one there in particular actually called Forfeits.
Yes.
Did you see that?
Yes.
Yes.
That was marvellous.
That's a marvellous game and quite a good one maybe for today. If you've got a little bit of a few groups, if you
less than 10.
Absolutely. Or you can have 2 kids under 12.
As many as you like.
Two. Oh, I thought it was up to 2 kids under
No,
12.
she said as many as you like.
Oh, okay. There you
Right.
go, people. Anyway, if you've got, so it's all good. So Forfeits is really interesting because did you do a bit of a deep dive into how it works?
No.
Okay, let me tell you. I do because I love a deep dive.
And I don't.
That's okay.
Sorry.
That's okay. That's what I'm here for.
Surface read.
So let me tell you, for forfeit. So if we're playing the game of forfeits, whoever is the manager of the game has to leave the room, and then everybody who is playing puts an item of personal significance into, say, into a basket.
Okay.
And then the person comes back into the room. And then if you want, for example, to reclaim one of your items, you need to ask the manager of the game for a task.
Oh.
And if you complete the task successfully, then you get your item back. If not, you forfeit it.
Oh.
Yes.
That's high stakes.
I know. But then
What
I
kind
did.
of tasks?
Well, things like shaving someone's beard. It can be whatever. It can be like singing a song.
Oh,
It
okay.
can be all very benign. But I did see that there's also a kissing version.
Oh.
Yes.
So you have to kiss somebody.
Yes.
Oh,
I know,
rude.
I know,
That's immoral,
I
don't
know. Which I thought the Victorians are,
Yeah,
really
yeah,
quite
well,
rapid.
they did have the, the mad sex with this crazy Puritan kind of values.
Yeah. So many contradictions going on there. We are full of contradictions as humans. So anyway, Mandy, do you want to give a bit of an overview of the story?
Yes. Okay. So set up his Scrooge's is his office, and he has a clerk called
Bob Cratchit.
Bob Cratchit.
Sorry, people, we're keeping it real. It's all good. Bob Cratchit, yeah,
Bob Cratchit. And he's horrible. Scrooge is basically horrible to his clerk. He's horrible to his lovely nephew who comes in, who's full of joy.
Oh, gorgeous Fred.
Full of the joy of Merry Christmas. And then when Scrooge leaves for the day, he goes home and he is visited by the ghost of his...
Can I interrupt and just add something else?
just
No. There's just one quote. I've only got 2 quotes from the book. There's just one quote. So when Fred comes in, and then before Fred comes in,
Fred invites him for Christmas, actually.
and he says no.
Yes,
which is a little bit
he says
sad.
no to everything.
He says no to everything. But there are 2 blokes that come asking for donations.
Oh right,
yes,
that's an important plot point.
Yes, well, it's just
I
this quote.
was driving along today thinking, who's the third? Because it was the clerk, there was Fred, and there was
the two portly gentlemen looking for donations, and they basically wanted a donation for him to provide food for the poor.
Yes.
This is the answer. You didn't mean to interrupt, but it was just
No,
my only quote,
go
my
ahead.
second quote, and he replies that no, I can't afford to make idle men merry. I help to support the establishments I have mentioned. They cost enough. And then these 2 portly gentlemen suggest that some of the poor would rather die than go to some of these establishments. And he said, well, if they would rather die, then they had better do it and decrease the surplus population. Very harsh, Mandy.
Very harsh.
Very harsh.
Economic rationalist
Absolutely.
point of view.
Indeed. Anyway, so he continues. Then he goes home.
So he goes home and he's going to sleep in his sad house where he lives all alone and grumpy. And as he goes to sleep, he's visited by the ghost of his ex-partner in his firm, Jacob Marley, who basically haunts him.
He does. But he also lived in a similar way to Scrooge. And he was
They
mean.
were both mean and horrible.
He was a tight ass. Let's use that expression.
Yes, I can't actually remember. Does he make some kind of prophecy or?
He basically says, look, mate.
I got it wrong.
Yeah, I got it wrong, and as a result of that, I'm in a world of pain now.
Yes.
I am basically, I've got to drag chains around. I can
Which is a
wander
very
the
Christian idea.
Yes, and we need to talk about that actually.
It actually reminded me of Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner.
Oh, right.
Yeah, which is a very epic poem by Coleridge, and similar kind of thing.
Okay.
When somebody breaks sort of the human contract, they are there. They live life eternally. Stuck in purgatory, basically.
Yeah, basically, yes. And that's what's happened to Jacob.
Yes,
yeah.
yes. And he's basically saying, get your shit together.
Yeah, that's what he's saying.
And
Absolutely.
Scrooge is not interested.
No, he's
but
not.
then he's visited by 3 ghosts.
Absolutely.
Who are wonderful.
They are wonderful.
Who then take him on these, like it's a 3-act play, basically. These 3 scenarios of the people who come into his office during the day and share their life and their humanity.
Yeah, exactly.
With Scrooge, and he comes to see the error of his ways.
Absolutely.
And it's very... Sorry, go ahead.
No. I was just going to say, so the first ghost... Did you find the ghost thing scary?
Totally. Because that's a Victorian thing as well.
Absolutely.
Interest in supernatural ghosts. And a ghost, I suppose, is a device for people to allow people to time travel and to sort of talk about things that are very important in a less obvious way than doing it just face to face.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a device which lets people go into the past, the present, and the future, and to look at themselves critically.
Yeah, it's very clever, very
I
clever.
know, I loved it.
But I remember trying to read this when I was 17, 18, and I'll be honest, I'm a big scaredy cat. I've only really just been able to sleep in a house by myself now at the age of 49, like I'm a scaredy cat. And I remember being quite scared reading this as an older teenager, but at 49 I was okay, come good finally. But so the first ghost is the ghost of Christmas past. And so he takes Scrooge basically on this tour of his past, the past Christmases, so to his boyhood and to a
and
boyhood.
his loneliness.
Very, very full of loneliness.
Profound,
Absolutely, absolutely.
And a disconnection with his father.
Yes, definitely.
Which again helps you as a reader understand where Scrooge has come from.
Yeah.
But also feel pain for him, and that he was surrounded by people who wanted to help him and love him, but he denied them.
He did. He absolutely did.
Oh, and there were times when he was kinder.
The father?
Well, no, Scrooge was.
Yes.
As a younger man.
Yes.
And again, when you're reading that, you're thinking to yourself, was I like that?
Yeah.
What's happened to me?
Yes.
What's the journey that I've gone on over the period of my life? Am I kinder now than I was then, or the reverse? Which is what I think is the power of the book.
I think it's the power of the book too. I think to me that spoke to the fact that I think as we go through life, a lot of people become more cynical and more hardened as they collect some more of the negative experiences, and how important it is as an adult to try and workshop that, sort out your crap. You can move forward. I mean, I don't think that was Dickens' message, but that was reminded of the power of that.
I think there's been such a strong element, Alex, throughout the whole book.
I thought it was, yeah.
And as I said to you, it's interesting because there's a lot of mindfulness podcasts, and like Dr. Chatterjee, and he just did one about compassion, which was with this guy who's a palliative care specialist, and he was talking about how through the studies that he's done, which show that when you are compassionate, even maybe the last thing you want to do is actually a benefit to yourself. And I think that's what's so lovely about this book.
Yes.
Is it's so human, and it makes you think, well, maybe I should perhaps be a bit kinder.
Dig a bit deeper.
Yes.
Yeah.
And particularly now.
Yeah, I
in the world that
agree.
we're living in.
I agree. I agree.
Try a little kindness.
I know.
Do you know that song?
No, but I like that.
Because you overcome the blindness.
I don't know that song.
That must be a
Yes,
Catholic
that does.
thing.
Is that?
Of the
it's a Catholic
narrow-minded people.
I think it's a Catholic
Of the
song.
narrow-minded streets.
But it's a good song.
Yeah.
Yeah, good messages, good messages. So let's just go back to this first ghost. No, not at all. So we see the loneliness, we see the boarding school, the father. But then, and to be honest, I didn't actually really appreciate this at the time. We actually meet his neglected fiancée, Belle.
His true love.
I was actually quite devastated. I didn't appreciate
She
that.
seemed beautiful.
And and we see Belle, and then we see Belle in her life with her family, obviously without Scrooge, and happiness, and he found that so hard to bear. But then we also meet this fabulous character called Mr. Fezziwig.
Yes.
Who I thought was probably his first employer, Scrooge's first employer, and he was this warm, generous man who had Christmas parties and was the complete antithesis of everything Scrooge is.
And Dickens draws out the painfulness of that, of what Scrooge has become, because Scrooge is lovely when he's around.
Yes, Fezziwig, exactly.
Which draw as a reader, you go, oh, come on, Scrooge.
Come on, you can do it,
see
Scrooge.
that you're lovely.
I know. You have
Which
this
again
potential.
is for us to say, ooh.
I know.
And it really inspired me to be kind and to open up your home and to be generous and
scoop people up and don't discount how small acts of kindness can absolutely change someone's day.
Well, that's what this actual palliative care specialist talked about, because he had another podcast with 4 other people who are palliative care specialists, and he said one of the horrible things about COVID has been that people have been denied the small moments that, like even this, you and I having this conversation and diving deep into life, that's what people have missed.
Yeah.
And you can't really get that back.
You can't get it back. And with my cyber mum had on one of the stories I wrote about and tweeted about this week was this picture that an emergency doctor in the US had actually shared that went completely viral on Twitter. You may have seen it. And it was, and I don't know which state it was in, I'm thinking it was Nebraska, but I could be wrong. And it was this photograph of all of these iPads on stands. There would have been 20 or 30 or 40 of them. And the photograph was, these are basically ready for COVID patients to be able to farewell their loved ones. And he said, it's just the most tragic thing ever, because people don't have those moments. They can't say farewell. They can't have that human interaction. So I found that completely distressing. Anyway, so that's the first ghost. Back on track. That's the first ghost of Christmas Past, which was really
and the
interesting.
lesson is be kind.
Absolutely be kind. But then the second spirit comes, and that's the ghost of Christmas Present.
Yes.
And that he takes Scrooge. Well, I'm saying it's a he. Oh, in Victorian times,
Probably was he.
Exactly right. Anyway. The ghost takes
Gender
Scrooge,
fluid.
exactly right, on through a whole lot of quite different scenarios. So it takes him to a joyous market, People buying all the makings of Christmas dinner, again, the Dickens food images, which are
obsession.
very interesting,
Yes.
complete obsession. And then he actually, which I actually love this moment, then he takes Scrooge into Bob Cratchit's house, which was
I almost
beautiful but
cried.
heartbreaking, to be honest. And Bob Cratchit is this gorgeous, beautiful family man. He's got a dedicated wife and I think 2 daughters, 2 sons, one of whom is quite poorly. Tiny Tim. And Tiny Tim was on a crutch and he was so unwell.
And this is the mastery of Dickens, because he is all those things, but he's intensely brave and humane
absolutely,
and
positive and high
stoic.
energy, and
Yes,
you
and which
know,
is why we love him.
we all love Tiny Tim. And
I think he even moved Scrooge.
I think Tiny Tim did move Scrooge. Yeah. Anyway, there's a bit of a resolution with Tiny Tim at the end of the story. And so the ghost mentions to Scrooge that basically, unless things change, Tiny Tim is not going to make it.
No,
And that was a
unless
big
he pays more money.
Yeah. So they can appropriate medical care
Yes.
can be got.
Yes.
But then, Mandy, there's this. I don't know if I want to use metaphor.
Mm.
I think before the ghost leaves, these 2 children appear from the ghost's skirts.
Oh,
And you may remember
that.
and they're described as hideous and emaciated.
Oh.
And I think Scrooge says, "Well, who are these kids?" And the ghost says, "Well, this one's ignorance. The male
I
is
do remember
ignorance.
that. That was so clever.
So clever. And the females want." And he tells Scrooge to beware the form of the ignorance above all, for they will doom anyone who attempts to ignore them. And he actually then mocks Scrooge's concern
that is
for his
true.
welfare.
That is true. And what about want? What's the lesson with
There
want?
wasn't actually much discussion about want.
Want.
It was more focused on ignorance.
Ignorance.
But I suppose perhaps I didn't know whether in a period of time it was actually a dig about capitalism. To be honest,
Oh, totally.
he's
completely critical.
He is completely critical.
Because that's why Belle says to him, don't you remember who you were before this job overtook you, and your desire for advancement, which is linked to great expectations, and for social status, and because he has the wealth, but with that comes enormous loneliness.
Absolutely. So I thought that was so interesting.
Mm.
So anyways, that was the second ghost.
Yes.
And then we
So
go
that's the sort of the moral. I mean, it's all like a moral lesson.
exactly.
But that's sort of a critique of capitalism.
Exactly.
Social critique.
Yep, and what's going wrong, what the
yes.
problem is. And then we have the third spirit, which is the ghost of Christmas yet to come. Oh, Mandy, this was a bit of a gut punch, this one. So this shows Scrooge a Christmas day in the future. Do you remember this one? You would remember this one. Yes. And so there's this, and I wasn't sure, to be honest, whether this was actually him. So this particular stave, we need to talk about that. They're not chapters, they're staves. There are 5 staves. Why wouldn't you have called it a stave as opposed to a chapter?
I'm not quite sure.
No, I'm not sure either. I haven't still reached that point. Anyway, it's all good.
A stave as in a musical stave?
No, well,
Well, it could be actually like a movement.
That's what, and actually the other thing I was thinking, okay, because I think as well, the whole book was designed to almost be like a Christmas
Yes,
carol.
well, it is. It is.
Yeah.
Well, it actually reminded me a lot of Dr. Faustus.
Oh, okay.
Christopher Marlowe, 1600s, where Faustus makes a deal with the devil.
Okay.
And the devil comes to collect, I think, an hour before midnight.
Oh,
Is it
so I haven't read this.
Eve?
I haven't
Oh,
read
it's
this.
wonderful.
Okay.
It's the same kind of thing. So he gets, it's basically, and this is what's fundamental about this book as well. Do you get away with it? Do self-interest, if you just follow self-interest and deny your common humanity and kindness to other people, what happens?
Yeah.
And obviously Charles Dickens says you end up
Absolutely.
alone.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
just,
It's not the path you should be taking. It's
No.
what he's saying. It's very clear about that. Absolutely. So
then
this
the third one.
Yeah, the third one. So then so the ghost takes him to this death, I suppose, of this disliked man, and there's discussion amongst some people who are somewhat known to him about whether they were going to go to the funeral. Because they're only going to go to the funeral if there's food, and no one really liked him. And I wasn't quite clear whether that actually was Scrooge, and I've been doing a bit of a deep dive on that.
Well,
Some people said no, it
Scrooge.
wasn't.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I assumed that it was.
Oh, I assumed it was, but I didn't have quite clarity on that. But anyway, and then his charwoman, which I love that name, Mrs. Dibber, his laundress, and the local undertaker. Then all
Are the only
steal his, well, actually, you know what? That has to be Dickens. Scrooge.
Yes.
In fact, it actually has to be Scrooge. Sorry, I've just put that together in my head. I'm like it's some sort of random, because they then steal all his items and sell them, which is very sad. Which is very sad. But then they take him to, where's the next person? Oh, that's right. So then Scrooge is so upset by the fact that people are feeling no emotion after his death. And he says, please show me an example of people who feel very upset and completely distraught after someone dying. And then the ghost takes him to the Cratchit family when Tiny Tim has passed away, and they're just all completely devastated and broken. And that nearly kills him emotionally. And then, just to top it off, because the ghost just needs to keep going, he takes Scrooge to a neglected graveyard to his own tombstone. That's a moment, isn't it?
Yes, I mean, I think he's laying it on a bit thick.
Do you think the ghost could have just pulled the last one back?
I think Tiny Tim's enough.
Yeah.
Because I felt quite sad. I mean, I knew exactly what he was doing to me as a reader, but I still felt really, it really,
me too.
You do feel it quite profoundly.
You do, don't you? No, I really did. So then basically what happened is the ghost then, so he takes Scrooge to this neglected grave, and then Scrooge's name's on it, most importantly, and then Scrooge pledges to change his ways.
Yes.
This is my second quote. And he goes, please, he's almost pleading with the ghost, isn't he? Please, let me change. He says, I will honour Christmas in my heart and try to keep it all the year. I will live in the past and the future. The spirits of all three shall strive within me. I will not shut out the lessons that they teach. And interestingly, when I read that, I was thinking, oh, it almost sounds a bit like a prayer.
Oh, completely.
And then there's all this huge, big, totally. There's all this big, deep dive into whether this is actually an allegory for the Christian faith.
I think so. Don't you think?
Well, I can see why people think that.
Yes, I could. I mean, I don't think it necessarily has to be Christianity, but definitely being a good person. Like there's an assumption that you should be a good person.
Yes, but the whole concept of redemption and being able to be forgiven
that's true.
Being able to start a new life.
Yes, resurrection.
Absolutely. Is very much part of
Christianity. Another one.
Oh, Mandy! Musical numbers are coming thick and fast.
Oh, very well educated.
Yeah.
We were. Yeah.
Then we go to day 5, or chapter 5, and he wakes up on Christmas morning.
Yes.
Because this all this ghost activity.
So one is him is his present day, and that's all dark and horrible. Then Act 1, 2, and 3 with his 3 encounters with the past, present, and the future. So that's 4. And then 5 is the resolution. Totally.
Yeah. So which is Christmas Day, because all of the ghost-like activity actually occurs on Christmas Eve. It all happens in a short period of time.
Yes.
So then he wakes up on Christmas Day.
Ta-da!
He's a changed man.
Oh, if only other men could change so easily.
If only, baby. If only, absolutely.
If we could all change like that.
Totally. So he goes and he seeks out those 2 portly gentlemen whom he rejected for a donation. And he makes a large donation. Exactly. I feel like we need to be... Keep going while I read this.
Okay.
And then he anonymously sends this enormous turkey to the Cratchit family.
I know, that was lovely.
I thought that was quite beautiful, anonymously as well. Food, exactly
glorious
right.
food.
And then he turns up to Fred, his nephew's Christmas celebration.
I loved Fred.
Fred.
I wanted to be at Fred's place.
Fred's place sounded great, because that's where they were playing the game before, but possibly the kissing version.
And they were singing, and they were dancing, and they were just having a jolly old time.
Great time. There was a romance going on. It was just all happening. And then interestingly, so that's Christmas Day. And then the next morning, he goes into the office, and Bob Cratchit turns up for work.
Yes, and you're thinking, oh dear.
Share the good news.
Well, he's saying, I've got something to tell you, and Bob's looking, oh gosh,
I'm in trouble because he was 18 minutes late.
Oh my God. And then he comes out with this beautiful statement about who's going to give him a pay rise, basically.
Absolutely. And then it also says that he almost becomes a father figure to Tiny Tim, which is beautiful.
Isn't fiction wonderful?
If only everything could have such a quick, happy ending
I am the
within a 24-hour period.
And the life.
I know, it's beautiful. Was that Catholic again?
Yes.
Yeah, I love that's great.
With liturgical dancing as well.
Very good. No, that's excellent. That's very good. So Mandy, when I think back to when I read David Copperfield at school, and when I did The Great Expectations, and even this as well, I actually, first of all, the language is hard.
Yes.
It takes a while.
This is why this is good. It's quite accessible.
This is,
don't you think?
It is more accessible, but I still think,
it's very dense. It's dense. That's the problem.
It took me a while to get back into the Dickens way of because he did write in
Well, I suppose that's why I skipped a bit.
Right.
Okay, what's happening here?
Because there was a couple of times where I had to go back and go, what was that again? What was that again?
Yes. Oh, and he's pretty good too. And I mean, he does lay it on a bit thick, but he's also good at holding back.
Yes.
So you do have to, because that first part, when Belle suddenly appears, you're going, who are you?
Yes, I agree. It
He
took me a
doesn't
while to
set
put
it
that
up
together.
to go, okay, this is her. Blah, blah, blah. He actually she just suddenly appears, and then you have to go, oh, okay, I'm going to have to work a bit.
Yeah, totally
As a
right.
reader.
He makes the reader work, doesn't he? That's exactly what he does. It's not and therefore, to be honest, it's not a super easy read.
No,
But-
you do have to work. And he does lay on, like you can see his characterisation of Scrooge at the beginning is so horrible.
Horrid.
You're thinking, oh gosh, you're awful. But that needs to be that horrid in order to see the humanity of the other characters.
Absolutely.
And how lovely they are. And
Yeah,
it's
the
funny. It's,
contrast.
he's very good at...
Oh, it was some very witty
and look
moments.
at the opening line. Marley was dead to begin with. That's a very brave
It's bold, isn't
opening
it?
line.
It's very
Yes.
bold.
Old Marley was as dead as a doornail. It's the same as, which is why I like the first chapter of Great Expectations. Little Pip, he's in a graveyard, and Dickens doesn't say he was surrounded by all the headstones of his family because they're all dead. He does it in a more indirect way. So again, the reader has to go, oh, what's this? Oh
Absolutely.
my God, all his family are dead? That's terrible.
Yeah.
And then he encounters Magwitch, who's a runaway convict, who says, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to slit your throat. And you're sort of thinking, oh my goodness. But it's wonderful.
Absolutely. No, it is. It is. It is.
High
it is.
stakes.
Don't know if I finished it, but it was the first chapter
Oh,
was
but
incredible.
this is much more accessible.
This is much more accessible. Absolutely.
And it's wonderful. I think, the idea of the supernatural.
It's very
part of
Victorian,
this
though,
little
Mandy,
license.
isn't it?
Yeah, oh yes. It's very judgmental. The message is quite
Oh, it
obvious.
is. Yes, absolutely.
But
absolutely.
it's a universal message.
It's a universal message, completely relevant to now. But I didn't realise, Mandy, so Charles Dickens, this is what I was going to say before. So every time I read a Dickens novel, I always find them quite dark. Like there's very much a message about, I suppose, the injustice of society.
Yes.
He very much focuses on the working man's
Yes.
journey,
Yes.
and it's always very dim, and it's in my head it's always very grey. Clearly there are no pictures, but I always see greys and browns, no yellows or reds or purples. It's a very grey
Only for
experience.
rich people.
Only for rich people who eat beautiful food.
Yes.
So that's very, very interesting. So, but then I did a bit of a deep dive on Dickens, and I didn't realise he was actually a middle class boy, and I assumed from the way he wrote that he would have had quite a poor upbringing. But what happened to him was that his dad, so they initially had quite the normal upper middle class life, and then his father got into financial difficulties. And his father was committed to a debtor's prison in London. And at 12, Dickens had to pawn his collection of books, leave school, and work in a dirty and rat-infested shoe blacking factory. So that's where that comes from.
The
But
social realism.
Totally. But he had that contrast. He had a taste of what it was like not to have that, I suppose, dark
Well, I think
existence.
sometimes if you have a critical eye on society, in some ways you've had to have seen all the different facets. And
of course.
Yes.
And he has there's a guy called Michael Slater, who is his personal biographer. And he describes Dickens as having a deep personal and social outrage, which was very influential, as we can all see on his writing.
Yes.
Absolutely,
Yes.
on his writing. So what else can we say, Mandy? The themes. Okay, so the big theme of the book, Mandy,
Is Alex.
redemption,
Yes.
hero's journey.
Yes.
Don't you think?
Yes. And being kind.
Being kind, absolutely. The transformation of Scrooge is what it's all about, I
Yes.
think. But the kindness, if we look at the kindness, it doesn't just come from. The kindness is also very much we see through Fred, or through Mr. Fuzzywig.
Yes.
We even see through. Who's his name? Fezziwig. His Scrooge's former boss. Yeah.
Starts with F.
Yeah, that one. Totally. Yeah, that's what I was going
But
to
I
say.
think there's the overall overarching redemption, but it's all those little interplays. It's the poor family of the clerk who still find joy in simple things.
Absolutely.
It's reminding yourself Fred's Christmas party of like, gosh, it's fun when people get like the good things that can happen when people get together. Games, singing, dancing, joy.
Yes.
It's those kinds of little lessons. And I suppose the other thing I got out of it also was, and I know it's basically mothers who have to do this, is the work that is required to make like to make
To bring people
families
together.
function.
I agree with that.
Yeah, but and it's worth it.
It is the Mrs. Cratchit figure.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I
To
totally
provide
agree.
beautiful. Doesn't have to be a lot of food, but beautiful food, or doesn't have to be the most expensive. But it's the social aspect of
know.
life
I totally
that
get
is
it.
really, really, really important.
I agree.
Which is like even this.
Yeah, totally. Even this,
Yeah.
absolutely. But I think so the transformation of the redemption, that's really great. But I think me with my 2020 hat on and the COVID lens and so last weekend we were, as Mandy was invited, we were going to have a little Christmas party here, but all plans had to be
I
cancelled.
was looking forward to dancing.
I was
after
so
that.
excited. But anyway, that had to be cancelled. So I suppose I went through a few days where I felt really quite down on myself. I mean, first world problem, okay? First world problem. But, you know, we're all feeling a little bit gloomy. But it reminded me, like you say, about the simplicity that joy can be. You know, and that Cratchit family to me was such a wonderful example of that. And even that gathering that Fred had where they played the games. And none of them were very wealthy.
No.
They didn't actually have a lot of material possessions, but they were together and they took such joy in being together in each other's company.
Yes.
It was such a beautiful reminder that everything's going to be okay, and actually, what do we really need to be happy?
Well, and I think, you know, again, it's having I keep thinking pianola and how wonderful like instruments are, music.
Yes. Which we'll get to in a minute.
Mention that. But music is a collaboration, and that's. I mean, I was looking forward to your party for dancing with people, other people who like dancing, and talking, and that's what's so horrible
people
about COVID, which is what all these palliative care specialists were talking about, is this lack of opportunity to actually be human.
It's true.
Which is really important in terms of the glue that keeps us together.
It is the glue. It is totally the glue. It's totally the glue. So that's what, for me, I mean, I know the transformation was there, but for me, it was what makes us, what do we need to be happy? And it's just such a reminder that we actually don't need a lot.
Oh, and the other thing I was going to say is music and being around a table together.
Yeah. The power
sharing
of
a meal.
The power of sharing a meal. Dickens always seems to weave that in, doesn't he?
Yes. I think that's why there's so much food. Because, like, for example, in Oliver Twist, you know, the people who run the horrible sort of mill, what are they called? Those awful places where they put kids. Workhouse. Yeah, they're eating to excess and they're not appreciating all the treats that they have, whereas so it's not about abundance, it's about sharing.
Absolutely. Sharing the
A
salad.
salad.
Totally. We're about to get onto the rocky road
Rocky
too.
road.
So it's all good. It's all good.
All essentials in life.
All the essentials, absolutely. Now, the other thing about the book is that not every book has the ability to create terms and words and characters that go into sort of, you know, I suppose, you know, literary, what was the word we were looking for? Books. History books. Literary books. I'm going to start that again. So the other interesting thing about
let me
this
think about
book
what it would be
is that there are characters and themes that have actually stuck with us throughout time, since 1874. So some of those is, for example, the word humbug. So at the start of the book,
humbug.
Scrooge refers to Christmas as bar humbug, which in modern day 2020 language would probably be a huge expletive, just a very derogatory, nasty term. So particularly in the UK, that's something that has stuck around. And as I mentioned before, Merry Christmas was used for the first time in this book. Yes, the phrase "bar humbug." Oh, and of course, the name Scrooge.
Oh, yes.
Has become used as a, you know, to describe a miser. Someone who's just
you're a Scrooge.
Yeah,
Don't be a
tight ass, difficult, a scammer. Yeah, not a very pleasant term. So that's very interesting. And also, as I said before, a lot of people really give Dickens the credit for helping to create the modern concept of Christmas, which was very interesting. Because around that time, people were only putting up trees, and I think it was Queen Victoria and Prince Albert.
Didn't he bring the German tradition of
He
the tree?
did, and that was just starting to come into the UK.
And St. Nicholas.
Yes, exactly right. Exactly right. So
I just stopped myself from singing another Christmas carol.
It's okay. We're going to have music very, very soon. But anyway, we loved it, didn't we? And it was a beautiful book to read now.
Perfect. I think it's a really. I'm pleased that you invited me to read it, and I'm sorry I didn't read it that deeply. But
you did.
It did. I really loved it.
It was beautiful.
I really loved reading it, and it reminded me and reinforced the need to be kind.
Absolutely. And the only other thing I would say, like we did say at the start, that Dickens's message, I think, is also about using this time of year to reunite.
Yes.
It's all about social reconciliation.
Yes.
So if there is somebody today who you're thinking, I know I need to ring them, or
Yes.
just a text, and there's been some ill will, to use a Dickens expression, or some bad feelings, or a bit of a disagreement, pick up the phone and make the call.
Actually, the palliative care specialist
Said they're just that.
it just doesn't matter.
No, just make the call. Make the call.
It doesn't matter.
Just let bygones be bygones.
I mean, it's a shame you can't start a conversation with, can we just suspend whatever's happened in the past and maybe in the future and just talk about now?
I know.
And how are you? Are you okay?
I know. Absolutely. So that's the only thing
Are
I
you
would leave.
okay?
Exactly. Are you okay? And Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas.
Now, as I promised, we're going to, today is a different type of episode. We are going to have,
let's get Untamed.
yes,
out.
inspired by, to be honest, probably one of both Mandy
Yes.
and my favourite books of the year.
No,
It's
you
on
like
loan to
the one.
someone.
Oh,
Maybe
okay.
you should talk to someone.
Oh.
But that book and maybe you should talk to someone.
Yes.
They're two because Mandy is a self-help queen on the podcast, and the Dickens
Didn't
queen.
mean
Now
to
we'll
be,
add that.
didn't mean to be.
Add that to your list of achievements.
But I'm on this constant quest to be a better person, unfortunately.
Well, that's what we need to be as
But I wish
humans.
there were more people who were
Mandy,
pushing on the journey that were
Mandy.
close to me.
I'm on the journey. You know, I'm on the
You
journey,
are.
my friend.
But the ones that I'm related to.
Yeah, I know, darling. That's
Anyway.
a bit hard. They're going to
Yes.
get there.
I
Okay,
don't
they're
think
no,
so.
they're going to
It's
get there.
not
Giles.
like fiction.
Right. Not like
not
Dickens on
redemption.
the 24-hour change.
Exactly.
God, if only we could get that happening.
Yes,
Anyway, so in the spirit of Christmas, because it is Christmas Day, and we want to
in the
entertain
spirit
you.
of living your dream, no matter how uncomfortable it makes you feel.
Yeah.
Because it's what you actually really want to do.
You need to. Mandy's going to play us a tune on her guitar. Now,
This is
I
the
want to
first
claim
time
it.
I have. Okay, yes, you did go.
Mandy has been doing this for 6 months.
But
Mandy,
playing the guitar very badly.
well, I don't think that's true, and you'll soon see it's not very badly. But Mandy's been playing guitar for 6 months, and she has been on this journey, as you
Yes.
say, to live her passion and to be herself
I
and
have.
to do what
I
makes
had
her
an
happy.
epiphany 12 months ago. No, 18 months. Well, not that long ago. 14 months ago. And I said to myself, I have to sing because I love singing and I haven't done it. The only people I've sung to are my children in the last 20 years. And I just, this is ridiculous. I do not want to die having not sung. So, sorry, here we go.
So we're going to have a little musical tune from Mandy.
I will get
And
better. I'm working up to maybe in about 6 months' time, I'll be able to do more of a Michael Bublé version.
Oh, could we have one of those at Easter? Would that be too soon? Could we have
I don't know,
an Easter
it's
special?
It's good to have.
That's a goal.
It's a goal.
Okay, so we'll have.
Because I have to be able to play faster.
Okay, Giles.
Because I can't do that at the moment.
That's okay. So we're going to have we're going to have, was it White Christmas?
White Christmas.
Okay.
Sort of more of a Bing Crosby
Yeah.
version. Rather
Natalie
than...
Cole,
Yeah.
Jazz Bar.
Mm.
Oh, I'm going with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
A bit more slow 4/4.
I'm thinking
but-
sexy,
No,
sultry, Christmas.
I'm building up to that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's Easter.
Oh, Easter. Sure. Anyway.
The resurrection.
The resurrection.
Yeah, rather than the
indeed.
birth. This is
The birth.
This is the birth.
Yeah. Very symbolic,
Appropriate.
actually.
Yes.
Yeah. Before we listen to Mandy,
I got nervous. I thought, I can do the first chord.
you're all good. You're all good.
Okay.
Now, the other thing I just want to tell you quickly is that I actually a little bit earlier made some Rocky Road. Oh
perfect.
my god, I can't stop eating it. So we've got all the normal things. We've got chocolate. We've got macadamias.
Oh.
We've got marshmallows. We've got Turkish delight and 2 types of chocolate, milk and dark.
Ah, is that your key?
Yeah, it's my key. It's why it's not too sickly. You know, sometimes you eat Rocky Road and you
yes,
think, oh,
too sweet.
too sweet. This is actually a good combination.
Okay.
So while you play the guitar, I'm
Yes.
actually going to have Rocky Road and some Prosecco. So I'm going to be doing what I
Cheers.
hope you're all doing at home, is just
Yes.
having a nice little glass of something fabulous and enjoying the musical entertainment.
Okay.
Okay, Giles, let's
Here
do
we
it. Here we go.
I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, just like the ones I used to know, where the treetops glisten and children listen to hear sleigh bells in the snow. Oh, I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, with every Christmas card I your days be merry and bright, and may all your Christmases be white.
Mandy, beautiful.
That was lovely. That made me a bit teary, actually. Thank you, Alex. That's quite appropriate for the Christmas Carol as well, actually.
Beautiful song. You did so well, Mandy. That was
That's
gorgeous.
lovely. Thank you.
so much. I actually think I prefer that carol slower.
It's a beautiful
It's
song.
Beautiful.
It's a really,
beautiful
really. It
song.
made me think of A Christmas Carol.
Yeah, I know. No, thank you,
Oh, I
darling.
hope it works.
Oh, look, it'll be beautiful. It's lovely to have a bit of an
Can we
extravaganza.
stop this now?
No, we're still going to talk because what we're going to do now is we're going to have a special cheers.
Oh, so short. Okay, fine.
A Christmas cheers. This is your second drink for the day, isn't it, Dal?
Yes.
Yeah, this is my first.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's been a big day. But look, we want to cheers.
Yes.
All
Cheers,
of the
everybody.
beautiful people that listen to the
Yes.
podcast and have become part of this little community that I just absolutely treasure. And
Yes.
that's been, to me, one of the silver linings. As you said, the Dickens quote, the best
Yes.
of times and the worst of
Yes.
times. It's been a bloody hard year.
Yes.
But there's been some beautiful
Yeah, there's
people
been some
online
real-
this year I just never thought I'd ever connect with. Gorgeous people, and I feel like my connections with people, like probably a group of about 10 or 15 girls, are so much deeper than they've
Yes.
ever been. And that would
Yes.
never have happened if we hadn't had this limited period.
That's true, you know.
So I am so grateful for that. That's been such a gift. And the book club's been a gift. And
Yes.
having you involved has been such
Thank
a
you,
gift.
Alex. I've really enjoyed.
I love this. Is one of my
these
favourite things to do.
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah,
And I think that's the beauty of podcasting.
I
Is
agree.
that everyone becomes part of that
I
intimate
agree.
conversation.
I agree.
Mm.
So Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas.
Sending you love. And if you're home by yourself, you're not alone.
Have a holly jolly
Yay, Christmas.
It's
And
the best time
of the year. I don't know all the words, but it's all good.
Oh, yes.
It's all good. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry
I'm going to
Christmas.
have the recipes online, but all good. I'm going to have a little drink and just a little
Cheers.
cheers. Cheers, Charles. Merry Christmas, everybody. Merry Christmas. Bye.